We're here to say goodbye to our brothers and sisters, to our fathers and mothers, to our friends.
The shocking truth about Jon Snow's future in Snow. What if I told you that Jon Snow's story is far from over? That the man who faced the Night King, defied destiny, and survived death itself still has a future filled with secrets, danger, and choices that could shake the entire world. Today, we're diving into the shocking truth about Jon Snow's future in his upcoming spin-off, Snow. What awaits the king in the north? Or should I say, the man who was once exiled
to keep them alive in memory.
Is darker, deeper, and more complicated than anything we've seen before. When Game of Thrones ended, millions of fans around the globe felt the sting of unfinished business.
Everyone in this
Jon
world
Snow, the bastard of
owes them a debt that
the
can
reluctant
never.
hero, the man who killed Daenerys Targaryen to save the realm, didn't sit on a throne. He didn't find love. He didn't reclaim his Targaryen heritage. Instead, he was sent north, back to the Wall, to walk among the free folk, carrying the weight of guilt, regret, and loss. On paper, it was exile. In reality, it was only the beginning of a far more complex journey. The first clue about Jon's future comes from the very premise of Snow. Unlike the original series, which balanced politics, intrigue, and war, the spin-off focuses on Jon's life beyond the known map. Beyond the Wall, beyond the familiar north, into lands no one in Westeros has ever dared to explore. And that alone tells us something shocking. Jon's future is uncharted. It's dangerous. It's filled with forces that the living, and even the dead, can't control. Let's talk about Jon himself. The man we know has always been defined by duty. From the moment Ned Stark took him in as his own, Jon carried responsibility on his shoulders. He joined the Night's Watch, fought against the White Walkers, discovered his true heritage, and ultimately killed the woman he loved to save humanity. Every act, every choice, came with immense cost. And the shocking truth, that cost is far from over. Snow will reveal that Jon's life has always been a story of survival, but survival has a price, and that price is just beginning to be paid. Some fans have speculated that Jon's future in Snow involves a confrontation with magic long forgotten. Remember, Jon is a Targaryen. That blood carries fire, but he also carries the history of the North, the resilience of the Starks, and the weight of prophecy. Combine that with the mysteries lying beyond the Wall, and you have a man who could become either a savior, or something far darker. Imagine the echoes of the Night King's reign. The ice magic might be gone, but the North is old, ancient, and unpredictable. And Jon, with his Targaryen blood, might awaken powers within himself he never knew existed. Powers that could save lives, or take them. Another shocking truth is that Jon's emotional journey is far from finished. In exile, he's haunted by Daenerys, death. Haunted by the choices he made to protect the realm. Haunted by his own identity as both Stark and Targaryen. In Snow, he will confront these ghosts in ways the original series never allowed. His survival is no longer just physical, it's mental, emotional, spiritual. Every decision he makes could push him closer to redemption, or lead him into a spiral of self-destruction. And it's not just Jon's personal demons that will shape his future. The spin-off promises new threats, both human and supernatural. Ancient forces beyond the Wall. Lost civilizations. Creatures untouched by time. And perhaps most shocking of all, remnants of the Night King's magic may linger. Jon may have won the war against the undead, but the battle for the North, and for his soul, is far from over. Every step north is a step into danger, and every choice could redefine what it means to be Jon Snow. Then there's the question of allies. Who will stand by Jon in Snow? Ghost, his loyal direwolf, is a given. But what about other familiar faces? Fans speculate that Arya Stark could return, bringing her unmatched skills as a fighter and assassin. Her reunion with Jon would not just be a reunion of siblings, it would be a merging of two of the most lethal and complex characters in Westeros. Together, they could face threats beyond imagination. But the shocking truth is that even with Arya by his side, Jon may find himself confronting enemies no one can fight. Because sometimes the battle isn't against others, it's against fate itself. And speaking of fate, prophecy looms large. Melisandre once hinted that Jon Snow was the prince who was promised, though he may not have realized it at the time. What if that prophecy doesn't end with defeating the Night King? What if Jon's role in the world is ongoing, something even he can't yet comprehend? His future in Snow may force him to confront not just external threats, but the weight of destiny. And for a man who has already carried so much, the shocking truth is that destiny may demand even more. Fans are also considering the political implications. Even in exile, Jon Snow is not just a man, he is a symbol. To the north, he is a Stark and a hero. To the south, he is a Targaryen with a legitimate claim to the throne. His actions, even beyond the wall, could ripple back into the Seven Kingdoms. Perhaps he will be drawn back into politics, despite his desire for isolation. Perhaps he will be forced to protect not just the free folk, but the realm itself from forces that have waited patiently in the shadows. And let's not overlook Jon's internal struggle with identity. Throughout Game of Thrones, he struggled with being a bastard, with being a Targaryen, with being a Stark. In Snow, that struggle continues, intensified by isolation and responsibility. He must define who he truly is without the structures of the Night's Watch, without Winterfell, without a throne. The shocking truth is that Jon's journey may force him to reject everything he thought he knew about himself, and rebuild entirely. But there's a darker theory fans are exploring. What if Jon's resurrection in Game of Thrones was only temporary? What if his life beyond the wall is a ticking clock, with the magic that brought him back slowly fading? The idea is chilling. Every step Jon takes northward, every fight he faces, may bring him closer to a final, irreversible fate. Some speculate that Jon may confront his mortality in a way that echoes the tragedy of heroes in Greek mythology, a man destined to face the consequences of choices he cannot undo. The shocking truth doesn't end there. Jon Snow's moral compass, always his greatest strength, may also be his greatest weakness. In Snow, he will face impossible choices: who to save, who to sacrifice, how to balance loyalty to the North with the wider world. The stakes will be higher than ever, and the consequences of failure will be catastrophic. Unlike the original series, where victory often came with compromise, in Snow, compromise may not even be an option. Every action Jon takes could shape the fate of nations, and the survival of humanity itself. And what about his relationships? Jon's bond with Sansa, Arya, and Bran has defined his past. But in the harsh unknown, those connections are stretched thin. New alliances will form, and some old ones may be tested or broken. The shocking truth is that Jon may find himself isolated not just geographically, but emotionally, forced to confront challenges alone, stripped of the support systems he once relied upon. Then there's the question of enemies. Beyond the Wall, beyond Westeros, there may exist threats that the original series never imagined. Ancient civilizations with motives that predate even the first men. Magical forces long forgotten, capable of reshaping the world. And the ultimate shocking truth: Jon Snow, the man who has always fought for honor and survival, may face an enemy he cannot defeat with sword or strategy. Because some battles are not fought with weapons, they are fought with the soul. And what about the nature of power itself? Jon Snow has never sought it. He rejected it. He killed a queen to save humanity. Yet in Snow, power may find him regardless. His lineage, his heroism, his reputation, these things will draw attention. The shocking truth is that Jon may have to wield power he doesn't want, in ways he never imagined.